As music fans, many people have many different discussions on who's better out of all musicians. One of the bigger discussions is the Beatles versus Elvis. Now, neither are bad. I personally love both of these people. Elvis had a lot of great hits, so did the Beatles, but personally, I just prefer the Beatles. One reason I believe that the Beatles are better is because the Beatles had more number one hits. They had 20 according to Billboard. That's the most number one hits out of any band, any artist of all time. Another reason that I prefer the Beatles is they had the greatest songwriting of all time. It's out of the question. John Lennon and Paul McCartney are the two greatest songwriters of all time, and they even both had excellent solo careers, writing some of the more notable songs of all time. I feel like the Beatles had more meaningful content too. A lot of their songs had a lot of meaning, especially in the later years of their careers. But mainly the biggest reason that I believe the Beatles are better is because Elvis didn't write his own songs, according to Pencil.com. Elvis also said he didn't write his own songs in multiple different interviews. He wrote 9, I believe. That's according to Pencil.com. But the Beatles wrote all of their songs pretty much. They wrote a total of 237 songs. And that's quite a bit, especially for how long they were a band. I feel like the Beatles were greater for longer. Elvis had an amazing start. He brought something new to the table that no one had ever seen before. But then he went off to the military. He couldn't make music while he was at the military. But once he came back, he still made good music, but it just wasn't the same. He also spent a lot of his time making movies. A lot of people didn't like his later albums. I personally enjoyed them. In the Ghetto is a pretty good song. But his albums in the later years just didn't sell nearly as well as the ones in the beginning of his career. I feel like that the Beatles' last album was the best. That's in my opinion. It was one of their better selling albums too, by Business Insider. Let It Be was an excellent track, one of the more emotional songs that they have ever written, and that's probably their biggest hit. Although I think both artists are amazing, Elvis started rock and roll. I have to give him that. But in my opinion, the Beatles perfected it. Also, another reason that the Beatles are so great is because even though they had more people in their band, making it harder to stick together, 4 people, they clashed on ideas, and it was hard to stick together. They fought a lot, but they still put out quality music and some of the best music that there has ever been.